first, so we're live. However, I have to physically put this live in all the groups that
Okay.
I am a
Okay.
part of because StreamYard, or excuse me, Facebook no longer wants to use third-party services to put this stuff in groups. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Hey, you do
How,
that?
huh?
I said, you do that.
I'm gonna do that right now.
Okay.
Let's see. Here we go. That does that. Here we go. Share. Only a few more. Group. Share. And I'll keep doing this as we keep going. But
Okay.
what's up, Jen? How are you?
I'm doing great, Ruben. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. It has been a minute.
I've missed you.
Um. Oh, look. The wife said, "What's up?"
Hey, girl. Hi. I got to check in on her too one of these days.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people want your attention because you have a lot to offer. So before we even get started, could you tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz?
Yeah, sure. Who doesn't love talking about themselves? I'm Jen Henry. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I own a real estate brokerage called Game Changer Realty. We are, I would say, the premier training brokerage in Jacksonville, Florida. That is our entire value proposition is training. And I also do coaching and consulting for real estate agents and brokerages. That's my really super duper passion outside of being an owner here at Game Changer Realty. I also sell real estate with my buddy Katrina with a Rise Home Group. So we do that. I'm a mom to 5 kids and 2 dogs. One of them is right here with me right now. And I am, just living the dream over here in Jacksonville, Florida.
It doesn't sound like you have your hands full at all.
I'm always working to get rid of things out of my hands, but then I
Hmm.
always end up taking stuff back,
Yeah,
putting more stuff in, I'm super like you, Ruben, you know how I am, super innovative, and I'm always thinking of better ways to do things. So I'm never satisfied. So I'm always like, that's not good enough. I got to redo it, make it better, and so that makes me busy. But outside of that, I have a wonderful team of people that keep our brokerage going. And they really allow me to go do all the other things I get to do, like this, for example, with you.
yeah, yeah. Which is kind of a good segue where you say, you're never really satisfied. You start diving into something and you feel like you could do it better. That being said, I know one of the things you want to talk about today was like how we get in our own way, especially in real estate. And what did you text me? You got real estate on you. What was it? How was it?
I
How did
said,
you
this
word?
is your brain on real estate,
This is your
you
brain
know?
on real estate. Could you
Yep.
talk to us a little bit about that? How we get in our own way, and this is our brain on real estate.
Yeah. So, one day I was doing, so I don't have it here today with you because this is all pretty fresh, but I was doing one of the first trainings that I do in my program. And in it, we do these circles on the board and we talk about the thinking loop. And I have all these graphs and things that I'm drawing. And at the end of it, I drew this big circle around it. And I'm like, this is your brain. And then I said, this is your brain on real estate. Because the old drug commercial, I don't know if Ruben, if you even remember it, you do remember it. Okay. Where
Oh
it said,
yeah,
this is a
where it's
frying
the
pan,
eggs.
this is your brain, and then this is your brain on drugs. Yeah. So I started really 3 or 4 years ago, really started emphasizing that so much of our success and in the coaching and training, emphasizing that so much of our success is absolutely in our head. Skills, who the market, all of those are secondary to what's going on between your ears. And it has been a complete game changer, no pun intended there, none really truly, in my life. Once I realized how much I actually control about my results based on exactly how I'm thinking. And so that's really what has started all of this for me. There'll be a book one day, and it's not new, Ruben. None of this is new. It just became new to me. It became a part of my belief system. And once it became part of my belief system, it became my mission to share this with people who have big dreams so that they can get out of their own way and start thinking the way they need to think to be successful.
Yeah, and I will say for anybody who's watching this later, we'll have a lot of people watch it later. Put a question in. We'll ask your question here live. But when you do that exercise, what is one of the blocks get in the way, or the wall that gets in the way with some of these people when you're doing this exercise that could be an example of something you have to overcome?
Great question, Ruben. The number one thing we have to overcome is what we believe to be true. So the reason I say that is because so much of how we feel and what we think, which what we think leads to how we feel. Okay. So just basic biology here. Okay. Let me back up to answer your question. When we have a thought, our human body is designed so beautifully to create a chemical reaction that protects us from that thought or helps us with that thought. It's chemical. All right. So our feelings are chemical. I think Post Malone said it best, right? Was it chemical?
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. I may have just totally dated myself on
It's
that
his
one.
name is Posty, by the way. I think
Posty.
I
Okay, Posty.
I heard that at a book club. They were like, "We're gonna go see Posty." I was like, "Who the heck is Posty?"
Listen,
So,
I only know about Posty because I have a 21-year-old son who went to his concert and he's a big fan. So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I do
yeah.
love his music. But our feelings are chemical. And so to answer your question, the chemical reaction that happens in our body that creates our feelings, motivation, sadness, frustration, anger, desire, all those things that are our feelings that make us human, they are part of our body. And so they feel like truth. They feel like truth. You wake up in the morning, you feel frustrated, you think your life is frustrating because that is the truth, because feelings are intended to be part of our biology. And so to get out of your own way, you have to challenge how you feel, which in turn means you have to challenge what you thought that made you feel that way.
How do
And
you sorry.
no, go.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So if you really have a feeling you don't like, if you're feeling a some kind of way, and you can take a step outside of yourself for a minute, because so many of us are like so consumed with our feelings. If you can step outside of that and be a witness to how you're feeling, you can separate yourself from it and say, okay, frustration is what I'm feeling, but I am not frustrated. So, meaning I'm not defined by it. What did I think? Or what have I been thinking that would get my body to create this chemical reaction of frustration, which by the way is, some anxiety, and there's some hormones that go into all those things. What is it that I thought that made me feel this way? And most people really have a hard time doing that. They have a
Yeah.
hard time slowing down enough to hear the thoughts.
Yeah, because you're frustrated.
Exactly. It's so real. It's so
Yeah,
true. This is how
yeah,
I'm feeling. And,
yeah.
and that's called being led by your feelings. And the truth is, when you're led by your feelings, they will always fail you. Oftentimes, more often than not, they will fail you. So you have to, if you want to truly succeed in life and you want to have what other people have, it is not that they got more money or they had any new, better people. In most cases, and most all cases, if you really dissect it down to the basic biology, they thought differently than you did. If somebody's further along than you, they had a thought process that aligned closer with what they wanted and supported them greater in their pursuit than you do.
Yeah, I think it's, and I don't know, male, female thing, but I think for me, male, it's a little bit easier to disconnect from the emotional side of things and just look at things a little bit more analytical and, well, this happened, so why did that happen? Let's break it down. Let's find a solution. Um, for the ones who aren't necessarily, it's not easy because, like you said, it becomes their belief, which belief becomes truth. How can you argue with truth? And what we've been told is that truth is real. It's fact. How do you? What's a system, a model that I could do, or anyone else out there that could do to make sure that they're able to crack the truth and start to expose what built that belief? Like, what are some exercises you could do in the moment? You're frustrated, I get it, but what have you seen that works best?
Well, and I've practiced these, and I call this thought work. It's a thing, thought work. And first of all, before I answer this, I want to say you are a unicorn, Ruben, in the way you think. You are, yes. Go ahead and put the horn in there. Colorful unicorn. You are where you are. You do what you do. You have the relationships you have, the life that you've built because of the way you think. I've watched it over the years that I've known you. It's beautiful. And I think you are absolutely a master of the way you think. And so I love that we're having this conversation. And To you, you can break things down very analytically and go backwards and say, what did I think that got me here? But a lot of people just don't have that skill set. And it's
Yeah.
not that they don't have access to it. They've just never practiced it.
Yeah, and before you go into the strategy, just because you said that, I don't want anybody to think like, "Oh man, yes, see, he's got it put together." Guys, it is work every single day. Like, there's a lot of thoughts. I was thinking about this driving back from the gym to the house. How many thoughts I have? It is crazy. And I was like, "Holy moly, this is all you do is think." You're thinking about the tree and like, "Oh man, what about that tree? That'd be pretty cool. Oh, look at that house. Look at that. Oh, is this person pulling in front of me? Or are they taking a right?" Like, it is constant. And then when you get these bubbles of negative thoughts, I'm not perfect. I've just learned from an old mentor that said you can never control the first thought in your mind, but you can always control the second. And so I've always used that second as like a velvet hammer, essentially, to beat down the negative. So for anybody who's thinking, don't think I'm that special. It does take work. All right, Jen, go into the strategies.
Ruben is so humble. I love that about you too. And yeah, I know, just having had conversations with you, this didn't just manifest in your life. You had to decide. You had to decide one day, hey, I want a better life for myself. You've told me the story. I love the story. And you decided this is something I want for me. What do I need to do? And that was your thinking change. You know, that was the moment. I have employed this thinking thought work inside of every area of my life, not just work. I probably gained my biggest awareness and belief in it through my cancer journey. When what you think and believe about your destiny, about your body, about your health is so important in whether you live or not. That is scientifically proven. I have watched people that just immediately thought it was a death sentence die. And I've watched people think, I'm going to make it through this. And I have a lot of reasons to be alive, live. And I'm not saying that is the end all be all. I'm not saying that you still go, do what's best for you as far as treatment and all that. But for me, I knew the defining factor between living and dying was going to be how much I pursued life and the way I think about my life. My life was not over. My life had barely begun when I got diagnosed with cancer at 41. And so I began to think, I have to live through this. I have children. I have grandchildren. I have grandchildren. I'm going to have grandchildren. I want to survive this. I have so much more left to do with my life. And the doctors and the people that I was around said mindset, they've watched it in the medical field. Mindset determines people's outcome in disease and wellness and health and all those things. I have witnessed in my own life a miraculous recovery in my marriage because of the way I chose to think about it. And there is no denying that this is possible for each one of us when we decide we want better. And so you asked about practical strategies, Ruben, and I could literally talk about this for hours on end. But if we're just going to keep it super simple, and at least a starting point for some, is when you have a negative emotion, I said this a little bit ago, but I'm going to say it again. When you have a negative emotion, your job as a real estate agent, a professional, if you want better in your life, is to decide to stop where you're at in that moment, in the heat of the negativity, whatever that may be. It could just be a nagging negativity, or it could be a consuming negativity. It's entirely up to you where you do this. You can do it at any point. Stop, get out a notebook, write down what you're feeling. Name the emotion. I am feeling frustration. I am feeling anger. Name the emotion, okay? Recognize that it is not you, that it's simply a chemical reaction happening in your body. That, to me, that's always like the safe zone of like, okay, wait a minute. My life is not ending. I'm very upset right now, but it's not over. What did I think to make me feel this way? And that's the next question I ask. And I literally will do a micro rewind in my own thought process. Was it while I was driving and I was zoning out thinking like you were doing, Ruben? Was it something I woke up with or I thought in the middle of the night and it's just carrying over? Was it something that happened yesterday that I attached a story to? What am I thinking that's making me feel this way? Okay. This is hard to do. This is really hard to do because, again, I tell you, you have to detach yourself from what you feel to be the strongest belief possible. And once you hear yourself say out loud the thought you had, and I'm going to give you guys an example of this in just a second. Once you hear it, then you can choose to reframe it. So you don't like it. Obviously, it's not producing the results you want, So what's another thing you can think right there? Because all thoughts are optional, all of them. And to your point, Ruben, 90% of our thoughts are habitual. 90%. So imagine your brain has to turn around a giant machine that's used to thinking this way. Okay. And it's hard. So, yeah, you're going to have to struggle through this a little bit. But in the struggle, do you learn a lot about yourself? It's really beautiful. So then once you hear the negative thing, the thought you said that made you feel negative, you can decide to reframe it. This part's difficult because your brain is like, no, that's not the truth. And you have to say, toddler, go to timeout. I'm in charge. I'm going to think this way. And then when you think that way, you keep thinking and you keep focusing on that statement, your body will start to catch up. Sometimes it's instantaneous. For me, I have trained my body and my brain to where when I do this intentionally, it's instantaneous relief from whatever negative feeling I'm having.
And not that people have to compare their self to you. Remember, don't compare your outsides to someone's insides.
Nope.
How long did it take you to exercise that muscle in order to almost turn it around immediately? To this is what it sounds like you've done, which is name that emotion, write it down, recognize it's not you. What did I think to think this way? And then reframe. Going through that system, about how long did it take you to almost instantaneously turn it around?
So I did a lot of thought work. As I mentioned, when I was going through cancer, I was following Brooke Castillo, who was really helping me, or I was just following and learning about how to do this. And none of it really stuck until one day when something happened. And I'm going to share the story. If you haven't heard it before, Ruben, I think you probably have, where it manifested instantly for me. And that was when I became a believer. So it was in the middle of my cancer journey when I had lost all of my hair. See, I've got my hair back. Hallelujah. I had lost all of my hair through chemo, and I was really kind of fine with it because I was in survival mode. But when I knew I was going to live and I started caring how I looked again and my hair started growing back, it started growing back like a crew cut. Like, basically, look at Ruben right now. That was me with a little bit more hair. Okay. Except it was white fuzz. It was unattractive. I didn't like it. And I didn't want to wear the hat anymore because it was getting hot and it was scratchy. And so I was getting ready for church one morning, and I had been doing this thought work now, thinking about it, learning about it for the last month or so. I was getting ready for church one morning, and I looked in the mirror and I was getting ready, and I felt a negative emotion of sadness come over me. And, like I said, my old self would have been like, we're going to have a sad day. Okay, I'm going to ruin the day. I'm going to ruin the day. The old me would have just said, this is happening to me. I can't do anything about it. I wish I weren't feeling sad. And I probably would have gone off and ruined my husband's day and everyone else's day around because of my mood. Okay. On this day, I'm like, no, I do not want to ruin this day. Because again, I've got a whole new lease on life. I'm like, I don't want to waste a day feeling sad. So I'm like, okay, Jen, practice your thought work. So I looked in the mirror and I asked myself out loud, what did you just think to make yourself feel sad? And I had to sit there for a minute. I looked at myself in the mirror. And then I heard the answer, which was, I heard myself say, you look like a boy. And I had said that to myself. You look like a boy. It was so quiet and so fast and so truth laden that I didn't even challenge it. And instantly when I said I look like a boy in my own brain, my body followed with, well, let's make her sad. I don't know why my body did that, but let's make her feel this way about this. Let's keep her safe, because the reality is, don't go to church. Don't expose yourself. Don't go let anybody see you. Be sad. Stay home. Be sad. Go put your head under a pillow. That was my brain saying, let's keep you safe. You look like a boy. That's scary. Let's keep you safe. Okay? That's truly our brain's job, is to keep us safe and alive. So that was in the moment when I heard that, and I was like, oh, and it felt like truth, guys. Like, imagine looking in the mirror and seeing Ruben. That's what I was seeing, a dude. Okay? So
I don't know what to think about that.
Well, if you're Ruben, it's a good thing. If you're
Oh,
Jen,
okay,
it's
gotcha.
not. Okay?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, Jen, what are you going to think right now that's going to change the way you feel? And so I thought for a second, and I came up with this statement. I'm going to rock my boy look as long as I have it. And instantly, and I mean like that, I felt an empowerment surge through me, and I got new ideas on how to I guess, style myself. So I put on some really great eye makeup and I put on some big earrings and like, I'm going to rock this boy look. And I went to church that day, confident and bold. I did not wreck my husband's day. I felt reconnected to my church group that I had been disconnected from because I'd been feeling so sad about how I looked. Nothing had changed in my appearance, guys, other than what I thought. So it led me to realize that my bald head or my hair growing in was neutral. It was not negative. It was not positive. The way I was thinking about it caused me to feel negative. So if
Yeah.
that can apply, go ahead, Ruben.
I was just saying, yeah.
Yeah. If that can apply to hair, it can apply to that seller choosing you, that buyer not signing your agreement, the broker not answering your call, anything about your business that might lead you to feel negative, or it's the story you attach, guys. It's the story you attach that
Yeah.
causes you to feel some kind of way.
What did the group think when you walked in with beautiful earrings and beautiful eyeshadow and
Oh
all
my
the
God.
things? Did they even care?
Everybody was like, oh my God, look at you. Because it was the first time I'd really not worn my hat. And they were like,
Oh,
look at
right.
you. You look so great. And, I don't think I looked any different, guys. I just carried myself differently.
That's
I
right.
carried myself with confidence and I carried myself with boldness. And when somebody's got confidence and boldness, typically that looks better on them.
Yep.
And so, what I'm here to say is the market can change or not change. Your brokerage can change or not change. Your team can change or not change. When you change you, everything around you changes. And
Yeah.
that is how you create life transformation. You don't wait around for everything else to change. You don't wait for your hair to grow back to get happy again. You don't wait for the market to shift. You don't wait for this. You don't wait for that. You choose how you're going to think about you and your circumstances, and you change. And when that happens, your circumstances start to change. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think, growing up in this and kind of discovering this through mentors I found on YouTube and all the things, because I didn't even know who talked about this stuff. It's like the Jim Rohns and all the things. I think what I end up now where I'm at is I think in my mind, it's the universe challenging. So yes, I think the brain is to keep you safe. Predators used to be out there and the whole thing. So it's like almost in us to do that. And also on the other side, I kind of think it's a challenge, and it's a challenge to see if you're willing to step into the unknown. And the more unknown you step into, the more the universe rewards you, in my mind. So
I
almost
agree.
now, like I'm not super excited after this. I'm getting a tooth pulled, this one back here. Not excited about it. Not excited about it at all. And it's not because I got jumped like the other one. This is just
I was like,
one that's
Ruben, did you get beat up again?
yeah, I know, right? No, no, no. I survived this one.
Okay, good.
But I'm not excited about it. But it's got to be done. I'm like, I'm going in as a challenge. So like, how can I be so stoked about this? Because if this opens up, I don't know what else. So it almost becomes for the people who are out there, it will become a challenge, and then you'll almost get excited as these new challenges comes up because it's a new kind of a friction point that the universe is putting in front of you. Because once you pass it, something pretty cool is going to happen in your life. So you'll almost get excited about these things.
If you choose to think about it that way, if you
Right.
choose to think about it that way, if you don't choose to think about it that way, then you're going to be miserable, and you're going to make a lot of other people miserable with you.
Misery loves company.
That's right. And miserable people tend to attract miserable people, and so then your circumstances start to change. But again, they start changing in a direction you don't want to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, and to your point, I think that every opportunity to shift your thinking is an opportunity. It's a growth opportunity for one, because that's growth. And it's an invitation to boldness. It's an
Yeah.
invitation because thinking differently to challenge the status quo of your habitual thoughts takes serious courage. To think that it's not about you is seriously hard because the ego is so very strong and wants to make everything about you. But when
Yeah.
you detach yourself from, you're like, this isn't about me. It really does change how you feel about your surroundings, your circumstances. And suddenly you can turn anything negative into something, instead of happening to you, happening for you.
Yeah. I got two questions. One, when you started to change your mindset and started to look at almost opportunities in the obstacles, did it almost become apparent that your circle, people within your circle, it almost became apparent that they shouldn't be in your circle because they almost breeded that negativity in you that you were holding on to. And then once you've made the switch, you realize that they were adding to that negativity. And did you start to change your circle after that as well?
100%. You will begin to tolerate different things in your life differently. You won't tolerate the same things. Once you have understand the power that you have, it's addictive. It's why I'm on mission now to share this with all the real estate agents I know, because once you know this and you can harness this power for yourself, you want everyone to do it. And you don't feel threatened by it because you're so confident in the way that you can think. You can produce pretty much anything you want in your life just by how you think. So you're not threatened by it, by anyone else's success. So yes, it does change a lot. You have to be careful not to try to proselytize people to think differently, but it is really cool as a coach to be able to challenge people in how they think. One of the easiest things you can do is when someone makes a statement about themselves that you don't believe to be true. Oh man, I'm so ugly. Oh, I'm such a loser. Whatever they say. You can ask very simply, is that true? And they might say, yeah. And you could say, is that 100% true? And just, if nothing else, get them to defend 100% truth on that. What evidence do you have that supports that? How could you look at this thing differently? How could you think differently about this? And some people, you will find those people who are so white knuckling to their truth. They want to stay where they are. And then you will see other people that are not happy with what they have actually look at you and go, and usually they'll look off to the right or the left and they'll go, I don't know. And then you can help them. And again, this is coaching, this is coaching 101, but really that's really what coaching is really helping people think differently. And we can do
Yeah.
that every day with the people that we love
Yep.
without being annoying.
Well, I like that you gave me and I could be annoying. I like the
Me too.
strategy that you gave me. Say after Reframe, they've tried to reframe it. X amount of time has went by and they're not seeing any results. They're always finding that I don't want to call it a black bubble, but it comes up. It just keeps coming up. And they've tried to pop that bubble. They've tried to fill it with positivity. It's not working. Do you have another strategy, or what else should they be doing to combat this with a level 2 combative? Level 1 didn't really work. What's a level 2 maybe strategy that they can use?
Well, I don't know that there's a level 2 as much as there is do more of level 1. So, Ruben, I don't know if you know the answer to this. I'm just throwing this out there. Do you know how many positive thoughts you have to overcome a negative one?
Yeah, I heard it's 3 to 5. So it's
It's way
probably
more than
more. It's got to be more. Yeah, I think when back in the mentor when my mentor was telling me this, I think he said 5,
that.
and I think that's why it stuck with me.
It's more than that. May be 5 on people who are trained. It's 100. It's 100. So if you have a negative belief around your spouse, you would have to have 100 positive beliefs to completely overcome the negative belief. And I mean,
Okay, is it the
rental.
same? Is it
No,
the same? Like they're, I don't know if it's your spouse. It's like they are nice to me. 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 Or is it like
no.
they are nice to me?
It's,
They've got great
man, look at what she
needs.
did. Look at what he did. Look how great he is at that. Man, I really appreciate that about him. Man, I couldn't have done this without him. To overcome that negative thing that you had, it's monumental, guys. So when I tell you that I had that instant relief when I had that thought, you better believe me that right around the corner, I had to do it again. Okay, this isn't a one and done. I think there are pivotal moments in our lives, and I know, Ruben, you've had them, and I know everyone listening has had those moments when something shifted and changed and it was over. You were done. That doesn't happen very often. I've probably had 5 of those in my life where the change was done, instant, because my brain just shut down those old pathways and said, no longer. That's not safe anymore. We're going this new path. But for something that you're struggling with that has become really ingrained in you, guys, it is ingrained in you. It is neurologically ingrained in your brain. It has a deep groove, if you will, in your brain. And so you have to create a new pathway in your brain, and you got to go over that pathway many, many times to create a new groove between synapses or neurons in your brain to create the new thought that starts to take hold. And it takes a long time. So I just want to encourage you all that to answer your question, it's time on task. Sometimes it's over and over and over again. And then a year later, you look back and you go, wow, I don't even think that way anymore. You haven't even had that thought, but it took you a lot of intentionality to get over it. The second thing would be maybe you need to really challenge the thought again. Maybe you need to sit down and dissect it and really dig into it. Is that thought one that's really serving me? Okay, if that wasn't it, what is one that I can latch onto? And so, one more thing I'll say too about this thought work. When you do create your new reframed thought, it needs to be something plausible. It can't be some BS affirmation that you don't believe. Your brain has to go, oh, I can get behind that. For example, in my story, I couldn't have said, Jennifer, you're the most beautiful woman in the world. My brain would have been like, not true. I couldn't have gone there. It was too far away. I had to go to something very close to me that I could latch onto, that my brain could go, okay, we got that. We can do that. And so when you are reframing, make sure you're reframing in ways that make sense for your brain, that's close enough that your brain can grasp onto, and then you can work your way into bigger. Okay. And so that's another way to think about that too. I hope that makes sense.
It does, yeah. And a few things popped up. So one, I never really thought about. You said it's happened like 5 times. These big switches that have helped you really confirm what you wanted to do. And I really started thinking, I was like, man, I think it's only happened twice for me. And I'm about to turn 40. So
Man, you're old.
I know. But to think about that, I was like, man, it doesn't happen. You're right. It doesn't happen, maybe 3 times, but it doesn't happen too often. That's a good point. And then I guess from that stemmed was those were thoughts of something I just did like you didn't want to go down a bad path, right? Or set others on a bad path. And does it take someone to almost hit a rock bottom for them to for this to be truly effective? Or is it just fast forward the effectiveness and anyone can really do this?
I think both. If I look back at the 5 real pivotal moments in my life that I remember as like a total 90-degree turn or 180 turn, if you will, they were around extreme pain. It was moments of just pure desperation for something different. And mine, on a personal level, were very connected to my spirituality. So I felt I had a hand in that. But I also think that they were connected to just a sheer, absolute, disgusted, sick of myself, ready for a change, cannot take one step forward more in this place. That's rock bottom for some people, and I've had a couple of those in my life. I'm pushing 50, Ruben. So, by the time you get to be 50, you've had a couple of those by now. And then I also think there can be people who are just really, maybe aren't at rock bottom, but really believe that there's something better for themselves. And they want to really practice this. And you don't have to hit rock bottom. You can just say, hey, if I stay on this path, it's going to lead to rock bottom. And you can see that and forecast that for your life and decide you're ready to stop it now, whatever that may be. And you can change that. But I think on the day to day, the small changes on the day to day, how you look at your market, your business plan, your circle, your finances, all of it on the day to day, you just need to challenge everything you think about it. Do the work. And so with my agents that I'm training, I tell them that their work, their job, before it is anything else in real estate, is to get this straight every single day. Get this straight. And if you can get your thinking straight, the actions and your plans and your business plan, all those things that follow will be so much more powerful. But if you start with stinking thinking, you're going to get stinking results.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know I asked for like a level 2, but it does make sense that you're like, I don't know if there is, just keep doing this thing. And it's kind of like working out. If you want, I don't know, your butt to get bigger, you keep doing squats. And it's not a level 2 squat. You just keep doing squats, right? And eventually you get that butt you were looking for, I guess.
Yeah.
But what is something you've seen since you do this with so many agents that has maybe across everyone that has been the most impactful for people that they've shared with you that has helped them get around this? Is it, listening to the Jim Rohns of the world? Is it taping motivational quotes? Is it reading affirmations? Like, what have you seen that has been the most effective outside of this strategy you've given us so far?
Great question. I had one agent that took my thinking loop, which is kind of what I train on, and wrote it onto a paper plate, on several paper plates, and taped these paper plates around the house to remind him to think differently. I've had agents that set their timer for every 15 minutes to stop and write in their journal what they've been thinking. Because and you don't have to do this for very long. You just start to train your brain to do it. I've had agents that have decided, I've had people that I've coached that have decided to get up 30 minutes early to have quiet time, to meditate, to pray, to read, to get connected back to themselves instead of just getting up and running amok and letting the day swoop them into its vortex. you know so those have been some strategies that have been really effective in helping them, but everybody kind of has their own thing they need to do. That I think that the universal kind of points that I've been kind of training on lately that are just kind of universal are these two things that we need to do in real estate every day. And this is, to some, maybe too far-fetched, but for me, it just made sense, especially when I'm coaching leaders. Number one is to master the belief. Your job is to master the belief in whatever you're moving towards. Okay. So if you're moving towards a goal, a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goal, you better work on believing that can happen. That's your job. Like, make sure that you believe it. If there's one tiny little crevice or a little crack in your belief system around it, it will soon open up into a gaping hole and you're going to have to go deal with that. Okay. So work on the belief constantly. Look for things that support what you want. Don't look for the stories that say it can't happen. Look for the ones that say it can and focus on those. So master the belief. Number two, but before I go on, if you're having trouble with the belief, you got to get clear on that. Figure out what is it. Dissect it. What are the thoughts you're having? What are the solutions? What are the reframing of the thoughts around what you're having, the belief? So belief, guys, is so important. I've seen agents that believed they could do this and did. I've seen agents not believe they can do this and they didn't. It's where it starts. Okay, so believe, master the belief. The second thing that you have to do if you want to build a successful real estate business with your brain is you have to live on the vision, meaning there will be long periods of time when you will see no results. And you will have to get energy and excitement from what you have created in your mind is the vision of what you want for your life. You need to paint that picture and you need to go visit it every single day. And you need to protect it and you need to live by it and live on it. Whatever juju it gives you, you got to live on that. Because as you know, Ruben, when you're building anything, it could be a long time before you see the money from it or the accolades or the fame or anything from it. So many people get lost in their thoughts during this time frame that they just spiral into, well, this is not possible, I'm out, because they got nothing from their vision. So the vision is what fuels you. And you got to live on the vision every day. What is the excitement that it can create in you, and get excited about that. And then make
I
sure
love
you
that.
believe.
To this day, I used to have a vision board that was on my door. By the way, I was living by myself, so I had stuff to help me believe everywhere. There was no feng shui to my household.
I believe
Um,
that about you, Ruben.
yeah, yeah. But to this day, an S5 and Mercedes S550 was on there, and I was like, that right there is a beautiful car. It's a CEO car. And to this day, I still look at those like it becomes like these little beliefs that I see. Will I buy one? Probably not. But it is cool to see. So that being said, it sounds like the master the belief part, you've given us a strategy of that. And almost, what did I think to think this way and then reframe? If reframe doesn't work, go deeper. What did I think? And I kind of built this like loop. But for the live on the vision, live in the vision, live on the vision, what are some tools that they could do to live in it? Is it that put some pictures on a board to help you pull that through? What are some things that I can visually see and believe when I'm seeing it that you've seen worked with your agents?
Vision boards are a great way. I'm a visionary. So one thing I've learned about myself, and I feel that like you have this too, Ruben, is I can see the vision of what I want in my own mind's eye. I can see it. I don't always believe it, and I don't always work towards it, but I can see it. And so I would say envision it. Envision 5 years, wherever your goal is that you're working towards, envision it and do that every day. And I know that that's airy fairy, but it works. And then look at the people that are already, follow the people that are already living that life or doing that thing. Follow them. Listen to the way they talk. Listen to the choices they make. Listen to how they think and start asking yourself, how does that align with the way you live, the way you talk, the way you think? Surround yourself with more people that are in that vision. But mostly for me, and I can only say this for me, it's all in my head. It's truly the vision of what I believe is possible. And if that's not something that you are naturally gifted at, because some people I've learned, especially having a team, that some people are not gifted with the big vision. They're gifted with today. Then you've got to sit down and really write that out. Like, what could that look like? Help someone that is a visionary sit down with you and write it out, and bring someone alongside you that can help you build that out. And then once you see it, visit it. So, and I mean, when I say visit it, I mean visit it every day. When you're laying awake in bed in the morning and you don't want to get up, envision it. It'll give you energy to get out of bed. And talk about it, with people that are safe, that people that are going to support you. Okay. Because there are a lot of naysayers that are like, that's dumb. Don't listen to those people. Okay. And vision boards are great. I don't personally, I have vision boards. I've never really gone back and referenced them, because once I saw it on the vision board, it went into my brain and I
Yeah,
saw it in
I
my brain.
agree.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that I would do. But again, I think it's coming back and visiting. It's so easy, guys, whoever's listening, it's so easy to get lost in the frustrations and the challenges. It's so easy to get sucked into that. You lose track of what you're doing to begin with. And that's where you got to go back and latch onto it.
Yeah. Again, I think it's designed to be easy. I think it's all a test, guys. It's all a test. It's designed for you to slide down that slide. It's because it's too easy. But that's the point. That's the
That is the
test.
point. Well, I
Yep.
mean, okay, so if it were easy and all of us could do it, it wouldn't make it that exciting.
Right.
The fact that it's hard and that you can come through that is what sets you apart.
Yep.
Be that person.
Yep. So it sounds like the live in the vision. If building a vision board is physically you could do that, cool, that works.
Yep.
Also, something I used to do is I used to I had a Pinterest, so I could just kind of carry it with me, and I pull it up and like, oh yeah, okay, there, let's go. You know. Also, I like what you said is go out and basically touch those things and hang out with those people. So if it is a car, if it's a house, if it's a certain neighborhood, go drive that neighborhood, go walk that neighborhood. Better yet,
Mhm.
like greet the neighbors, act like you're already in that neighborhood, you already live in that neighborhood. Also, meet with those people. I always push that, especially for investors. I'm like, come to our investor meetups, start rubbing elbows with these people, see how they talk, see how they walk, see how they, and then once you've like embodied your physical form into that too, it will help, like you said, your third eye or your vision of all of this. It
Mhm.
will help manifest that as well.
Mhm. I agree. And it seems far-fetched, but when you start walking it out, you can start seeing yourself there. And when you see yourself there, you can start believing better. You start believing, and it's not, you guys here, you know what it really boils down to? And this is so sad, but true. It really isn't whether you believe it's possible. What really boils down to, if you really dig, is it's whether you believe you're worth it or not. I know that's like opening a whole can of worms, but the truth is, do you believe you're worth it? Do you believe you are worthy of it? And that's when you got to really dig. And that's the work I'm currently working on right now, is what am I worthy of? And that has opened up a whole new slew of thoughts that I've realized are not serving me in my life. So that's what I'm currently working on.
What if you feel you're worthy of something that could disrupt your way of life, like in a negative way? I'm
What do
trying
you
to
mean?
flip the script. Yeah. So like what if you feel like what if someone's like, I'm worthy of, I don't know, winning by gambling this. I know I'm worthy of it. I know I could get like the thoughts that don't serve you, but you feel as if it serves you and could disrupt your family life, your personal, your professional, your friends' life.
Mhm.
What if you start moving into that realm, and how can you recognize it?
So if you are constantly doing thought work and it's become habitual and you are constantly challenging how you think, the question you always want to ask yourself is, does my life bear the fruit that I desire? If it doesn't, boop, 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 go backwards. What's going on? What's happening? I had this conversation with a friend recently who was making an argument for her chaos. And she lives in chaos and I don't. And so we were having this cute little fun debate about which was better, order or chaos. And I don't believe it's my job to judge that. I know it's right for me. But what I asked her, which stopped her dead in her tracks, was this: if your chaos is leading you to the life you desire, go about it. Go about it. But if your chaos is not taking you where you want to go and you are fighting your life or you are frustrated more often than you are peaceful, then I would challenge that something in your environment is not supporting where you want to go. And that's your job to dissect that, figure that out, and change it. Not my job. It's not my job. I need order. I need predictability. That's me. That's Jennifer Henry's need. I'm not one to judge. I have seen massively chaotic people be wildly successful. And I've seen massively chaotic people never be able to get out of bed in the mornings and move forward in their lives because their circumstances are constantly weighing them down. So look at your life. If you think buying a lottery ticket's going to be what it is and you put all your money on that, does it produce the life that you want or not? That's your internal, and we have been given the gift of decision and choice. That's what makes us human. So you get to decide. The one thing you have to do, though, is recognize that what is happening in your life is happening because you've chosen it, not happening to you. You've chosen this. So once you can take that level of ownership over your life, you can truly change the course by simply a decision and a thought.
Yeah, we have these Garcia values we say in the morning, and I'm hoping that it sticks with my
Love you.
5-year-old. Yeah, but one of them is take ownership, and even if it's not your fault, take ownership of it and say it is your fault because it gives you the power to change it.
Gives you the power to change. That's right.
Yep, instead of waiting for someone else to change it. And man, do you see a lot of that sometimes in the world where people are like blaming, 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 and then
I
they
would
wait
say
for
that's
that
the
person to
default.
change it.
I
It
think
is, man. It's
that's
so
humanity's
easy.
default. It's so much easier to place the blame
Yep,
on someone else, but it's so weak. And I
it
don't
is.
mean like weak in a bad way. I mean, it's a position of weakness. It may feel powerful in the moment to deflect and go, this isn't my fault. But at the end of the day, it leaves you powerless and unable. You are literally waiting for everyone else around you to change, to do anything better with your life. And I personally don't want to live like that.
Yeah. And it
I
puts you
want,
into assumptions that people are going to change, and it just wastes time and energy and just everything else, man.
it's not going to, and people will change when they're ready to change. They're not going to change because you need them to. And
Yeah,
that's another thing I've learned as a coach is people are ready to change when they're ready to change.
totally.
And it's so you get to decide, are you ready to change or not? And if you are, it isn't anything anybody's going to do for you. It's going to be the power that you harness within yourself to say, I have the ability as a human being to change the course of my life. I don't care how broke you are. I don't care how far away spiritually from your alignment you are. I don't care how bad your relationship is that you're in is. I don't care. You have the ability to change it. And you can. It's going to be hard. It won't be overnight, and it will require a lot more of you than you realize you even have, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's
Change
insane how powerful we are. When you start to change your belief and you start to believe that, it's insane how
it. Insane.
powerful you are. It is insane. You are your own universe
Right.
that vibrates with the rest of the universe, and you can change things. It is crazy.
It is. And when
Um,
you do change things, everything else changes too.
it does. It's forced to.
It's true.
Um, and I know we got like 9 minutes. Here's another question before we wrap it up: is you're doing all the work, you're doing the mental work, you're doing the physical work, you're doing the vision, you're doing the mental, you're doing the spiritual, you're doing the I said physical, the material world, let's say. You're doing it. But there's loved ones around you that aren't supporting it, attaching to it. Do you what does that conversation look like? Because I do talk to a lot of people to where their family members or best friends aren't really riding with that wave. That's a hard conversation. What kind of what does that conversation look like for the people who want those others to be aboard with them, but they start to become weights to their future self?
Well, there is no conversation. I, I say less. It's saying less and doing more. Let your life be the example of who you want to be and what you've chosen and how you think. Let your life speak for itself. And I think we can get into a lot of arguments. And I think a lot of our world has gotten into arguments lately. We can't even talk to one another sometimes because of our polarizing viewpoints on things. I'm a person now where I'm in my life and I'm like, I look at the fruit. I look at the fruit of your life. Is the fruit of your life producing what we were designed to produce as humans, which is love, which is productivity, which is living out your purpose? Are you doing that? And again, that's not really my choice to judge, but I am looking at the fruit of people's lives. And I let the fruit speak for itself. And so I've quit. And I, interestingly, it's the same friend that I mentioned earlier, have had the ability, I've been put in situations lately where I could have argued. I could have fought for my point of view, but I decided to withhold. It just didn't feel right in that moment because I felt like there wasn't an open door to receive that. And so when you try to push those thoughts on others, it could close more doors. So to answer your question, I don't argue it. I do things like this, where I get invited to speak about this and I share my heart openly, which is why I'm so passionate, because I don't get to do this as often as I want to. And I share it and hope that the right people and the right ears will hear it. And the ones that aren't ready for it won't. And even if they did, they wouldn't hear it and they'd judge me for it, or they'd find reasons why it doesn't apply to them. That's fine. They're not ready. So I don't.
Is there a time that it becomes I talk about this a lot, a net negative in the relationship to where you have to sever ties?
Mhm. Yep. And I think you can sever ties without making it about me or about you. I think it's an alignment. You can blame the alignment, if you will. And I've done that recently, and it was very painful to say we're not in alignment anymore. And what's interesting is now that there's distance between us, some people that I've disassociated with, I see the lack of alignment now way more than when I was in it. Like I had to separate myself from it. But I feel like alignment you can blame it on the alignment. Think about your life. You want your life to be aligned with your goals, your dreams, your belief, and your vision, right? Alignment. When someone comes in that pulls you away from that, it's creating a misalignment. Same thing that happens in your car. It will cause one of your tires to wear out, or it will cause issues with your car. You got to get things back into alignment. So for me, it's about saying, I'm not in alignment anymore. And I don't know we'd have to argue about that. You're on one path, I'm on another. And we just aren't in alignment. It's not a bad thing. It's not you're bad and I'm good, or vice versa. So yes, I haven't necessarily had to argue my case. I can just go my way and justify it in my own mind that I'm doing the right thing for myself and my future.
Yeah,
I don't
I love
argue
it.
about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I
Argue.
had someone tell me, I don't remember who told me this, but they said everything's data. And what they meant by that was like when you start to see what people, make sure your video matches your audio. And if their video is not matching what they're saying they're going to do, just everything's data. Everything's data. It doesn't mean you have to talk about it and
Yep.
try to change. It's just that's for you to kind of collect
Yep.
and then decide where you want to move. So no, I 100% agree.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And I mean, there may be cases where people, might challenge you on it. And that's when you can say, listen, you and I want different things. And I'm not talking about necessarily romantic relationships. We're talking friendships. We're talking business relationships. We want different things. We're on two different paths. We're trying to make this work. It doesn't work. We're on two different paths. If that person wants to know more about what you're doing, great. If not, that's okay. When they're ready to find their way or their way through it, through if it's been a negative thing, they will. If not, that's on them.
Yeah.
And I heard a quote once that got pretty controversial with some friends of mine in a discussion we had one day, and it was this: everyone around me, or everyone that I'm surrounded with, or whoever I'm in a relationship with, whatever you want to say, is really doing their best. It is my judgment of their best that causes me pain. Yes, I know.
Preach.
I know. But it's you got to pause for a minute when you
I
say
know.
that, because you're like, everybody's doing their best, but she clearly showed up 20 minutes late. That's not her best. Friends, that's your judgment of her best.
Yeah.
Maybe her best is 20 minutes late. just because it's not your best, which is 20 minutes early, probably like Ruben, because I was 1 minute late to this call and I was almost banned from his life. When when you judge someone's best, that's only creating pain for you. And
Yeah.
that's really the next level of ownership, right?
Yep.
But don't judge people's best. They're doing their best.
Yeah.
Even if it's not close anywhere near your best.
I can see both sides of that story
I can
as
too.
yeah, like I struggle with that of we have a goal or whatever. It is you know this from when we work together. It is whatever it takes. No excuses. Any excuse or any life thing that happens doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, dude. You're not bringing your best. And you do apply that higher standard to a lot of people and it can put you in a different position mentally with that person. Yeah, and that's honestly personally ruined relationships for me in the past. Um, that I've reached out to some of them to try to reconcile. So that one hits. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I
Well,
can
and you
also
said
see
you're
when
but
they're
you
not doing their best, and I'm like,
well, but
there
Ruben,
is
so
no
just to
way.
no, just to challenge you on that, all that means is you were living by a different standard because you wanted something different. They're they didn't want what you wanted. They didn't want it as bad as you wanted it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it
It,
really isn't even
I
it was
think it's
their
just sorry.
no.
Go ahead.
I know this is a hot topic. Yeah, they weren't they said they wanted it. Their best towards what they said they wanted is this. And the standard is the one that gets to decide if they're in or they're out.
Hmm.
But judging whether that was their best or not, I get it. That's tough because
Is
you
it
know your best is next level.
is it like so? All right, example, and it's I was talking to someone about this. I was like, you don't ever put goals on anyone, right? Like they make the commitment to whatever they want to desire, personal, professional.
Yeah.
But I think it's the commitment. Once they've made a commitment that they're going to do X and it's very clear on what they want it, what they said they're going to do by X date, and then they don't do it, I don't know if they tried their best.
Yeah. Well, or they
Um,
weren't committed.
they weren't
That
really
might have
committed.
been
Yeah.
the best that they had for the level of commitment they truly had.
Or they need to adjust their commitment.
Exactly. It's
But
not it wasn't your level of commitment in their mind, it was their level of commitment, and or they just weren't committed, but they were pretending to be, or whatever the case may be, but that was their best
right.
in alignment with their level of commitment.
Yeah, because I reached out to a buddy today, and he hasn't everything he said he never really committed to. But it did. I'm in a different place now where it doesn't change what I think about the
Your
person.
level of respect.
Yeah, but it definitely changes what I think professionally. That it wouldn't be someone. Everything's data. That I've collected enough data to know that this wouldn't be somebody I would lean on for X project.
Yeah, I
But as
think
a
it's
person, I could always reach out to.
I was gonna say, I think you look at different people and you have different respect levels for a personal and professional. I have a lot of friends who I love and adore, would go on a cruise with them, would hang out with them, but wouldn't be in business with them.
Right,
It
right,
has
right, right.
nothing to do with how I love you. It has everything to do with how I choose to align with you in certain areas of my life.
Yeah.
And you can have both.
Yeah. Well, we're 1 minute over. I'm now disrupting your time. Is there any
I
question?
gave you that minute back.
Haha, true. That's true. Yeah, you did. Um, everything's data. I've now
Everything's
collected that.
data. Don't hold that against me, Ruben. Don't hold it against me. I had to go
How
to the
could I?
bathroom really bad before I got on this call.
Reasons or results?
Oh,
I,
shush now. Okay, I can't even. I won't win with this one. I won't.
no, I'm messing. I'm messing. I'm messing.
I know.
Are there any last thoughts you want to throw at anybody? How could they find you if they have extra questions?
Yeah.
Anything you want to leave them with? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you for having me on here today, Ruben. I'm at a point in my life where I have certain people that when they say, "Will you do this thing?" I say yes. I don't know. It took us months to get this on the calendar, but I love everything you stand for. And I don't know who's watching today, but I know that the people that follow you, I think, are really smart. And so hopefully they've heard this and it means something to them and they've been able to lock something away. Please do share with us if there's anything that just really stood out to you that will change your life moving forward. That's the goal. But if you want to know more about me, you can find me on Facebook, Jennifer Ross Henry. You can follow me there. My email is jennifer@gamechangerrealty.com. And so you can always email me as well. And right now I'm laying low for the next few months while we're launching a new program here locally. But hopefully next year I'll get back out there and start doing some more speaking. One day, just start creating a little bit more content to share with the world. But for right now, those are the places where you can find me.
I'd love to have you on again and talk more about like the projects that your company does because it's so different and disruptive of the overall market in terms of real estate firms.
Mhm.
Love to get you on and just go into what that even looks like. I think that'd be really cool. And yeah, I will say people love your profit sense video that we did a while ago. And I'm gonna add this video to our SOP to because I send like a well, we could talk about this after we end the live. But thank you to everyone who has jumped on. If you like she said, if you do have questions, please, please, please ask them. Also reach out to her. She's always up to some pretty cool things and you can get inspired by what she's doing as well. So thank you, Jen. You're the best. I'm about to
Thank
end
you.
this and I'm gonna talk to you just a little bit
Okay.
after this.
Okay.